Please note that the Burn It Nutrition podcast is for educational purposes only and is not meant to substitute for the advice of a doctor. Please consult your GP before using any of the techniques or products discussed on this show. Hope you like it.
Welcome to episode 12 and part 2 of the fasting series of the Burn It Nutrition podcast. I am your host, Joseph Navarro. On today's show, we will learn some of the do's and don'ts of fasting and some key mindset shifts to have that can help you in your own fast, as well as diving into fasted training to learn ways to effectively implement it. But first, our news and announcements. If you want to know exactly what you need to do to achieve a body transformation and get the body you've always wanted in a healthy, effective, and sustainable plan, then download your copy of 5th Stage Keto. This will walk you through the stages to break past those weight loss plateaus and see the biggest changes in body composition. Plus, you will learn how to effectively implement intermittent fasting with the personal strategies I used in my own transformation. Just go to burnitnutrition.com and use coupon code BURNIT to get a $5 discount at checkout. Again, that is burnitnutrition.com to start your transformation. I'm so pleased to have you with us today. Now, let's start the show.
Burn it. You are not alone as you begin this new stage of life. Learn the strategic methods to reach your goals and flourish the light within. With our guidance, you will uncover the hidden truths that have been missing from your understanding. It's time to let it burn.
The best of all medicines is resting and fasting. Wise words by one of the founders of our country, Benjamin Franklin. This ancient practice of fasting has been used as a method of recovery and healing for thousands of years. The break involved in a fast allows the body to focus on the healing needed to repair the damage of sustaining life. These insights were the topics covered in part 1 of this fasting series. But on today's episode, we're going to the other side of the spectrum. We are diving into the effects that occur on the body when we leave behind the rest and recovery in a fast and combine the practice of fasting with exercise to learn the real effects that training in a fasted state can bring on. And you may be surprised to hear what the scientists found occurs within the body when under the physical stress of exercising on an empty stomach. Findings that go against the exercise tips that most of us have grown up believing are ideal for pre-workout nutrition. We will go further into fasted training and discover the most effective methods to burn the fat and reach your body transformation goals, as well as learning some of the science behind the systems that are involved in fasted training. But first, let's go over some essential mindset shifts to understand when applying intermittent fasting into your lifestyle. Mindset shifts to give you a better lens to view a fast through. And to do this, we will go over some of the do's and don'ts on fasting to help avoid some of the common pitfalls that can be experienced on an intermittent fast. So, it's time to feed your brain the knowledge it desires. Let's dive in. The secret is out. Intermittent fasting works. And more people are leaving their comfort zone and attempting this new diet as a method to reach their goals. So let's go over a few key points on fasting as a quick recap. One main point I want to emphasize first is that intermittent fasting is not an actual diet, but a method of nutrient timing. There are a large variety of diet groups that implement fasting, from vegans and vegetarians to higher carb and so-called flexible dieters to our paleo and lower carb ketogenic friends. Intermittent fasting is used by all since it's simply an eating schedule where one goes through fasting and feeding windows. For example, one method is fasting from dinner until lunch on the following day. This is the most popular method, called a 16/8 fast. Now, I do want to remind you that I firmly believe that there should be stages to go through before jumping into fasting, especially fasted training, to help avoid any of the pitfalls that may be encountered, especially if it's your first time attempting a fasting protocol. This is why I named my 120-page ebook 5th Stage Keto, since it goes over the stages to go through to more easily be able to implement intermittent fasting into your lifestyle. And you can download your copy at burnitnutrition.com. Now, let's learn some key mindset shifts to have when implementing intermittent fasting. Let's not forget that for there to be a transformation of the body, there first needs to be a transformation of the mind. So, let's begin. A proper fast involves more than the simple idea of just don't eat. There's more to consider when applying this practice to effectively apply fasting into one's routine. So, one of the key shifts to understand is that fasting will get easier over time. The reason it's called the practice of fasting is that fasting is a skill that evolves, and you get better the more you do it. There are many other practices, like the practice of medicine. That's something else that gets better over time. And in a way, you can even call the skill and challenges of being a parent a practice. The practice of parenting. Or how about the practice of teaching? That's another that gets better with age, just like a fine wine. Okay, back to the point. When you first apply fasting, it may be a bit tough to endure. You see, the culture we live in has caused our body and brain to get accustomed to following a routine that begins your day by stuffing your face as soon as you wake. A routine that is suggested and promoted by all the companies that are trying to sell you their breakfast foods. But remember that our bodies have evolved to do just fine without breakfast. And as you begin the practice of fasting, you will see that it gets easier the more you do it, the more you practice it. As you apply it and begin to teach your body and mind that it has plenty of energy ready to go as soon as you wake, will make this practice into an easier and beneficial tool that can improve your health when applied correctly. And each new day that you try it will teach your body what to expect, and the fear of skipping breakfast will gradually fade away. Which brings us into our next mindset shift that should be considered when adding fasting into your routine. And that is letting go of the idea that hunger is a bad thing. You see, it's important to understand that if your goals are to lose those extra 40 pounds, you will have to be okay with a little bit of hunger. Now, I'm not talking about desperate, agonizing hunger, but only slight hunger. Plus, when you shift into a lower carb or ketogenic diet, the issues of hunger get drastically decreased, since healthy fats are so satiating, meaning they help keep you feeling full. Also, the strategies I mention in my ebook make intermittent fasting feel like a walk in the park. But still, there is a small degree of hunger, which is okay. Understand that you're going through a body transformation, and a small bit of hunger isn't something to fear. When hunger comes, picture your body feeding and breaking down the fat on your belly. Anytime those waves of hunger come, focus on your goals and use them as motivation to help you endure. You see, during a fast, the feelings of hunger come in short waves. Small waves that try to remind you to eat. But acknowledge that you are on a mission to transform your body. You can even try talking to your body and reminding it that there's plenty of food available during a fast, but on the fat reserves on your belly. Remind it not to stress and tap into its fat reserves for nourishment. Remember, your mind and body are always listening, so don't think you're crazy if you're talking to yourself. But then again, you probably shouldn't do this in front of others. Back when I started my transformation, I weighed in at 280 pounds with 40% body fat. And as I got adjusted to fasting and those short waves of hunger would try to get me to break, but I looked in the mirror and reminded my body of all the reserves that it already had. Energy it had stored during my higher carb days. Energy for the winter to come. Well, the winter was finally here, figuratively speaking, and I pictured my goals and reminded my body to tap into its own fat reserves. Now, there is no study that I found to prove this self-talk actually works, but I feel it helped me in my own transformation. So try to avoid running to the snack machine on the first hint of hunger. Understand that you are on a mission that will need to have some degree of discomfort, and you can see it as a little dose of tough love. This brings us to our next mindset shift to apply during a fast. And this one is to try to avoid focusing too much on the clock as you await to break your fast. You see, it's not helpful to go through your fast with one eye on the clock, just counting down the hours or even minutes until you get to eat. One of the many reasons I love intermittent fasting is all the extra time it frees up to get things done. When I wake up, I don't have to put effort into making my breakfast, nor do I spend my time thinking about my first meal. I know it's coming, but I don't focus on it. Instead, I have my morning water to get my hydration and inner bath. Then, I pour myself a hot cup of coffee and dive into my research. I'm not focusing on the fact that I am fasting. I ignore it and put that mental energy to my work or any other tasks that need to be handled that day. You see, we all get the same 24 hours in the day, but what you do with them will determine your success. And focusing on food won't get you closer to any of your goals. Yes, I am a foodie and enjoy my meals, but I don't let them interfere with the mission I have taken on. So focus on your goals and your responsibilities and work toward the life that you see in your thoughts. Imagine what you can do with all that free time. Think of all that you can accomplish. Focus on what will get you to the mark that you have set for yourself. And I can assure you that thinking about food isn't one of them. Which brings us to the next perspective to change when you're going through a fast. And that is avoiding the all too common mistake of overeating once the fasting window ends. So, you have successfully endured your fasting window, and it's time to get some actual food. And you make a dash for the nearest restaurant, losing control when you go to order the food, getting double portions and eating more than you normally would. Yes, can I have 2 of everything, please?
Wow, okay.
No, it's all right. You see, I fasted. This has happened to a lot of us when first starting a fast. So learn from others' mistakes and remember that it is possible to overeat and gain weight, even if you're doing a fasting protocol. You see, fasting isn't a free pass to binge and stuff your face into a food coma. At least not if you're trying to burn fat. Remember, calories do matter, and the reason intermittent fasting works so well is that it makes it easier to end your day in a caloric deficit without having to go to bed feeling hungry. If you're new to IF and are ending your fasting window around 2 or 3 in the afternoon in a ravenously hungry state, then you will have a harder time controlling your choices and intake. I have found that if you're just starting out doing IF, it's perfectly okay and beneficial to work your way into a longer fasting window gradually. Again, it's called the practice of fasting since you work on it over time. The more you do it, the more comfortable and familiar you will become to it, and the easier it is to push the fast longer into your day, so that you reach 2 or 3 p.m. and are cool, calm, and collected, able to make smarter choices with your food and experienced enough to know that it's not good or necessary to stuff your face. I usually have a small lunch or my Burn It green smoothie to break my fast. That gives me just enough to keep me going until my bigger meal at dinner time. Even on my days when I do fasted training and go to play soccer and then hit the gym in a fasted state, I still have a light post-workout meal to break the fast. Usually I like to get at least 40 grams of protein with some healthy fats on these post-workout days. But still, the majority of my calories are left for dinner. So, understand that fasting will not make it okay to binge, not if you want to effectively implement it into your body transformation. This brings us to our next mindset shift, and that is to avoid the overconsumption of coffee and other caffeinated beverages during a fast. Now, I love coffee, and it is very helpful in blunting hunger and even helping increase fat burning, but there is such thing as too much of a good thing. Don't overstimulate your body with caffeine during a fast. This could have negative effects over time. I have found that starting my day with one 10-ounce cup of coffee is usually all I need to get through most of my morning. Then, when I need another boost of energy, usually around noon, I like to have some exogenous ketones. I get the caffeinated ones since I also use them as a pre-workout. So, a little bit of additional caffeine plus the super fuel that ketones bring helps me go further into my fasting window and keep my productivity going strong. But I don't overdo it on caffeine all day long. Back when I had my office job, I would see some of my coworkers going back for their 4th or 5th cup of coffee. This is overdoing it, especially when done on a regular basis. You're going to eventually develop a resistance to caffeine, making them need more and more to feel the effects. Plus, if you need that much caffeine to get you going, probably means that there's something else going wrong that is draining your energy. Maybe they're not getting enough sleep, or they're still eating the standard Western diet, making their hormones get deregulated. It's crazy to think that some don't even drink water during their day. The only liquids they take in are coming from coffee or sodas. This will not end well in the long run. So, remember to go easy on the coffee and even try to avoid taking any caffeine after 3 p.m. to allow the caffeine to flow out of your body before bedtime, to give you a good night's rest, to have the energy to wake up and crush it the next day. Which brings us to our last point on the do's and don'ts of fasting, and that is to make sure you're actually getting enough food during your feeding window. Remember, intermittent fasting is not a planned method of starvation. Once your body has gone through its fasting window, where it has received the various benefits of fasting like autophagy, increased fat burning, and the rise in helpful counter-regulatory hormones that we went over in part 1, we'll make it time to get the healthy fats, proteins, and incidental carbs, and micronutrients from the veggies needed to maintain a high-functioning metabolism. You want to make sure to provide the body with the amount of nourishment it needs to avoid excess slowing of the metabolism. Now, if you're following a lower carb ketogenic diet, this usually isn't a problem since healthy fats tend to be more calorically dense, making it easier to get plenty of calories in. Plus, the noradrenaline that is secreted during the fast helps avoid the plummeting of the basal metabolic rate. But still, it is good to emphasize that when it's time to eat, you do eat, especially if you're doing physical exercise. But again, go into a feeding window with control and keep your goals in mind. Do not binge. Sit down and take time to feel gratitude for your meal. Savor it, enjoy it, taste the delicious flavors that come with eating a lower carb, high fat diet, and enjoy your new lifestyle, embracing the process of a body transformation. We have now reached the segment in this series where we dive into fasted training. Personally, I love fasted training. Waking up in a fasted state knowing you're going to crush it at the gym. Putting on your favorite gym gear and walking into my playground, my sanctuary, my therapy. The feeling of getting into the gym with that mental focus and alertness that comes in a fasted state is worth experiencing. Fasting alone has many health benefits, but when you add exercise to the mix, it makes for a 1-2 punch that is a recipe for an effective body transformation. I and many others have found that going into a workout in a fasted state allows us to feel lighter and have increased energy in our workout. I don't feel sluggish or tired, but alert and focused, ready to put my all into it. With my motivation music blasting, I go to work. Now I know going into a workout on an empty stomach goes against what we have been taught is best for pre-workout nutrition. How can our bodies do so much on an empty stomach? Well, let's take a look at fasted training to better understand why it is a useful tool to have in a body transformation. First, let's realize that fasted training is the way our bodies have evolved. Going back to our early ancestors who didn't have access to a pantry or a kitchen with their breakfast waiting for them would require them to go out on the hunt. And this would involve fasted training. Now, they didn't lace up their Nikes to go hit the gym, but their bodies would have to endure intense physical exercise as they attempted to hunt down their food to survive. They would have to walk long distances to find their prey and then jump into an all-out sprint to take it down. This required the human anatomy to develop systems to function at a high level on an empty stomach, to endure and survive. When you're in a fasted state, the body is alert and the counter-regulatory hormones are released to help give you the jolt of energy the body uses to help you maintain the focus and energy needed. This is the sympathetic nervous system in effect, the system that keeps you alert, focused, and ready when the body is in a fasted state. Remember, we have the sympathetic and its opposite, the parasympathetic nervous system. And when you consume a big meal, will trigger the parasympathetic nervous system that calms the body down to begin the digestive process. This is why a lion, the king of the jungle, lays and sleeps for hours after a kill. It is in a state of digestion and relaxed, no longer in an alert, hunting mode. The same happens in humans. We eat and then go into a relaxed state where the energy in our body shifts to the organs needed for digestion. This is why you like to put on those comfy clothes and sit down on the couch after a meal. Your body is fed and the danger of starvation is gone, so it chills out. Now, is this relaxed vibe the state you want to be in when you walk into the gym? Do you want to feel sluggish as you step up to the weighted bar? I don't think so. Or would you rather be in an enhanced and amped up state where the body is alert, energized, ready to get the kill? Or in our modern era, ready to put in the work at the gym. You see, the hormones noradrenaline and human growth hormone that are released in a fasted state can help you have intense workouts without the need to scarf down food before you train. This is especially useful when fat loss is your goal. Another great benefit of fasted training is not just the release of HGH, but also the increase in testosterone, another key hormone that is released during resistance training, and when combined with fasting, brings on great physical improvements in both men and women. But unfortunately, many out there hear the mainstream advice and consume carbs and sugary drinks before and during a workout, since that is what other people do. But is this really helping you burn fat? Well, let's take a close look at this. When you consume carbs before your workout, will cause the body to release the hormone insulin. This is the energy storage hormone. This stops the process of lipolysis, which is the breakdown of fat. Does this sound like a smart thing to do when fat loss is your goal? Nope. The consumption of carbs before a workout will stop all fat burning in its tracks, since the body will choose to use the energy you just fed it, since it is much easier than breaking down fats. Remember, the body likes to find the most efficient path, and any sugar you ate or drank prior to training will be used before any process of fat burning can begin. I avoid this by skipping carb ups before I do my training, and instead go into it in a fasted state, to force my body to go to its own fat reserves for energy, burning that belly fat. And maybe this is something for you to consider. It may help you in getting you closer to that summer body. Also, understand that it will take some time to adapt to fasted training. Don't expect to have your best workout on the first time you try fasted training. It will take time to adapt. I am able to play my pickup soccer games and then right after hit the gym in a fasted state, but I didn't jump right into this. I gradually built up to it. There is a process that is needed before fasting feels more natural. I have found that many things in life will be less stressful if you view them as a process, even though we usually want things right away, especially in a culture of instant gratification. Now, I'm not a professional soccer player, or how we call it, football, nor am I trying to be a pro bodybuilder. I do this to see the biggest changes in body composition, to burn fat and get the many health benefits of fasted training. Again, you need to have your own goals in mind when considering fasted training. Fasted training is a natural biorhythm that our bodies have evolved to do. But still, many fear that IF and training fasted will eat up all their hard-earned muscle. But this just isn't the case. You see, our bodies understand the value of our muscle fibers, which is why it has developed the systems to do all it can to spare lean muscle, and instead use our fat reserves to supply energy. We can make this analogy to help you see the flawed logic behind the fear of muscle wasting when using intermittent fasting. Think of it this way. You've heard of the doomsday preppers, right? You know, those that you see on TV with the huge underground bunkers full of food and supplies to turn to in case of a zombie apocalypse. Okay, you get which ones I'm talking about? Good. Now imagine the day finally came where they have to turn to their reserves for energy. Zombies are roaming the streets, and all the store shelves have been ransacked and are empty. Well, good thing these preppers thought ahead and now have their food reserves to feed on. Now, instead of turning to the energy reserves they saved up for this exact moment, they instead decide to become cannibals and turn on each other. Pretty gruesome, right? Gruesome and illogical. This just wouldn't make sense. Well, The fear of the body turning to its own muscles for energy during a short fast doesn't make sense either. Why would it store its fat reserves to survive the winter if it instead began to eat up its own muscles when there was a food shortage? This is just not logical or smart. And trust me, our bodies are smarter than that. You see, the body avoids drastic muscle loss during shorter intermittent fasts by increasing the production of human growth hormone, helping it rebuild important tissues. And one of the other big factors that allows us to feel amped and energized during a fast is the increase in the superfuel, ketones. The breakdown of fat will increase the production of this superfuel, which in itself has an anti-catabolic effect. You see, the presence of ketones allows an increase in the circulating branched-chain amino acids, since the body will prefer to use ketones, sparing these key amino acids, helping avoid muscle catabolism. And it makes more sense that the body has evolved to find ways to maintain essential muscle fibers during periods without food. Now, the caveat is the duration of the fast. Longer extended fasts that are endured for several days will have an increase in muscle degradation, especially if you're already lean. You see, when deciding to begin intermittent fasting or IF, you need to ask yourself, what are my goals? And if IF will be a helpful tool for these set goals. Let me explain. If you have a lot of weight to lose, then fasted training will be a great tool. Now, you shouldn't jump right into it. Again, it's best to have stages to more easily implement IF, which my ebook, 5th Stage Keto, lays out for you. But what if you're already lean? Is fasted training the best option for you? Well, probably not. You see, the less fat you have on your body, the higher the percentage of muscle that will be broken down in fasted training. This is why some very lean individuals have a harder time doing fasted training. And that makes sense. People who are already lean just don't have the fat reserves that make fasted training effective or enjoyable. But others who have more weight to lose have plenty of energy stored, allowing them to feel great during a fasted workout. Now, obviously, this isn't everyone, nor does it happen overnight. So, for those who are already lean but still want to get the benefits of fasted training, then it would be smart for them to supplement with some MCT coffee an hour or two before you work out. This way, you provide the healthy fats via some easily digestible and rapid energy that a good MCT oil can bring. You see, even though our bodies have evolved to do physical exercise in a fasted state, doesn't mean we can't use our modern science to help us give us an advantage. This is why it would also be smart to add some BCAAs, which is short for branched-chain amino acids, before doing resistance training, or even before endurance training when in a fasted state. This is like an extra safety net to reduce any muscle wasting. Again, I personally use BCAAs and exogenous ketones before I go to do my fasted training. And wow, is that a game changer. They get me in the zone and allow me to crush my training. Fasted training is also showing to have various benefits that go beyond enhanced fat burning. One of them is helping you fight back against insulin resistance and increasing your insulin sensitivity, which we covered in episode 3. In short, the less often you eat, especially foods that spike insulin, like carbs, will lower the levels of insulin secretion so that the body doesn't become numb to its effects. Fasted training will also help to better utilize the food consumed after the workout and be delivered and used in the right places, reducing the chances of storing food as fat, helping you get closer to your set goals. You see, training in a fasted state will first use up any stored sugars, called glycogen, and once those are running low, it will start breaking down your fat reserves. And when you do sit down to eat, much of the glycogen stores will be depleted, avoiding excess fat storage. Let me explain. Glycogen can only be stored in a few places. It can be stored in the liver in small amounts and also in the muscles. And when those tanks are full and one continues to eat carbs, will cause their body to convert the sugars in carbs into fat to be stored on your belly through a process called de novo lipogenesis. This happens since the body can't fit any of the glycogen into the specified areas anymore, so it converts it into fat and stores it in your fat cells. But when you train fasted, will free up space in these tanks, allowing you to avoid these conversions and better utilize your post-workout nutrition. So, now that we get a better understanding on why fasted training is safe and an effective way to burn fat, let's go over another aspect to consider. Again, fasted training isn't for everyone. And another group who probably doesn't need to apply IF and fasted training are certain bodybuilders who are trying to bulk up. Now, this is not because you can't build muscle on IF. You can, but not to the extreme degrees that intense bodybuilders want. Plus, they need to eat thousands of calories over maintenance to bulk to those extreme levels, and trying to fit all those calories into 1 or 2 meals is not easily done. But this doesn't apply to the majority. The reality is that most of us are looking to burn fat, get healthy, and look sexier in the process, which is where applying intermittent fasting and fasted training is a big help. Now, the most effective time to apply fasted training is at the end of your fasting window. This way, you can be productive and get things done during your fast, then finish it off with a great fasted workout, and follow that with a yummy post-workout nutrition, getting your protein, healthy fats, and incidental carbs that are in veggies to help the rebuilding process. Now, it doesn't have to be a huge meal, just enough to feel satisfied, still saving the majority of your calories for dinner. One of the biggest shifts you can make to give you the best results and make the process of fasted training much easier is shifting to a lower carb or ketogenic diet. There is a reason why elite athletes like Kobe Bryant and LeBron James use low-carb diets. They learned the secrets that raise their game and athletic performance. Now, I don't think they did fasted workouts since they have different objectives. But your ability to apply fasted workouts effectively goes back to what your body is using as its primary energy source. If you're eating a high-carb diet, then the body is adapted to using sugars as its primary energy source, making extended bouts of training and even fasted training much more challenging. You see, carb-adapted athletes have a limited supply of glycogen, and once that is depleted, their body can't easily make the shift to using their fat reserves as energy, leading to bonking or hitting the wall. These are terms used in the community of endurance athletes, a term used when an athlete has used all their glycogen stores. I am sure most of us have seen images of marathon runners crawling on all fours, putting all their efforts to reach that finish line. That is bonking. Well, they try to avoid this by gulping down sugar gels and sodas. Now you can avoid this by becoming a fat-adapted athlete with the use of a keto lifestyle, which will allow your body to use the fat on your body and on your plate as its primary fuel. That way, it doesn't have to rely on the sugar gels during a race, but instead tap into its fat reserves for energy. Even when lifting weights, it has been seen that fat-adapted athletes can do just fine without the need to carb up. You see, the body has the ability to replenish its own glycogen stores from the breakdown of triglycerides. Triglycerides are made up of 3 fatty acid links connected to one glycerol molecule, as the body needs energy, will release the fatty acids to be used up by the body, while that leftover glycerol molecule heads over to the liver to begin the process of gluconeogenesis, where it is converted into sugar, allowing the replenishing of glycogen stores, feeding the areas of the body that require it. This glycerol backbone of the triglyceride is one of the ways the body keeps the blood sugars from dropping below normal during fasts. Pretty awesome, right? But again, you have to have your personal goals in mind. If you're looking to compete in a serious powerlifting competition, then IF or fasted training probably isn't a good idea. But if you do weight training for improved body composition, where your goals are to burn fat and look and feel great, then IF and even fasted training could be a big help. Now, another benefit of shifting into a keto lifestyle is that once you're fat adapted, you will increase the muscle fiber's ability to utilize fat as fuel. So, understand that our bodies are designed with great ways of adapting to the energy that is available. Consider this upgrade. Hey, maybe it's exactly what you need. This brings us to the end of episode 12 and part 2 of the fasting series of the Burn It Nutrition podcast. Wow, that's a long title. Try saying that 5 times fast. Well, my desire in these 2 episodes was to give you a better perspective when viewing the practice of fasting, to see the real benefits it can bring when done correctly. Please remember the importance of replenishing your electrolytes with some quality pink Himalayan sea salt during a fast, especially an extended fast. Drink plenty of fluids, and remember, a fast should never feel forced. Don't feel you need to fast or do fasted training to see progress, especially if you're just starting your body transformation. There should be steps to approach fasting in order to get the best results out of it, making this change as smooth as possible. So, if you want to give this ancient method of healing and rejuvenation a try, and see if it can help you reach your own weight loss goals, then challenge yourself to reach 5th stage keto. This is a 120-page body transformation plan that is available for you to download at burnitnutrition.com. It will give you the stages to take to make your body into a fat-burning machine. Plus, you can choose from 2 different training methods with full workouts included and pick which fits you best. If you want to see the most drastic changes in body composition, then get the RPT version of 5th stage keto. RPT is short for reverse pyramid training. This is the workout method I currently use, and it is very effective in a body transformation. There is also the TUT, or time under tension version of 5th stage keto. This is great for those who just want to get better everyday strength and lower the risk of injury. Both of these methods will give you a step-by-step breakdown to allow you to implement intermittent fasting and upgrade your body to the keto lifestyle. We are still running the sale for the release of this podcast, so you can get your copy for just $25. And considering the strategies it gives you, $25 is not bad. But act now before the price goes up. And you can get both of these at burnitnutrition.com. So, friends, I hope you learned some good takeaways in this 2-part fasting series. There is still much to learn and go over, so I plan on doing more episodes on this topic eventually. But for now, remember to view fasting through a new lens, and don't forget the shifts we discussed earlier. Don't focus on the fact that you're being different than the rest by skipping breakfast. Understand the many benefits fasting can bring and use them as a motivation. Don't focus on the muffin your coworkers are eating. Instead, remind yourself of the rejuvenating effects of autophagy. Focus on the ways fasting can help you, like in its production of human growth hormone and neuroadrenaline, hormones that will make you feel unstoppable. Don't think of the hunger. Think of the fat that is being burned, releasing you to enjoy a more fulfilling life. Don't focus on the clock. Use this released time and energy to do more, achieve more, and upgrade yourself. Never stop progressing, never stop learning. Don't count the minutes until you eat. Use that cognitive energy and get things done. You will be amazed at what you can do in those 24 hours that are given to you with strategies like intermittent fasting. These can give you an advantage many haven't even considered. So, what are you going to do with your 24 hours? Lastly, don't forget to get the okay from your doctor. Remember, fasting won't be ideal for all. Also, you may have noticed that we didn't have any yummy recipes these last 2 episodes. Well, that's because we're fasting. But we will bring them back on the next episode. Just like there are different types of fasting, and it's up to the individual or sometimes their physician to learn which is best for them, there are also different methods and reasons to use and apply the ketogenic diet. So, join us on the next episode as we discuss the various options for the keto lifestyle. I will try to get it out next Friday, but it may have to be pushed back another week. The reality is that 1 week just isn't enough time for me to get all the research, recording, editing, and mastering needed for this show. At least not to the level I'd like them done. The saying is true, if you're going to do something, make sure it's done right. So, the extra week will allow me to bring you an even better show. Plus, it will give me some more time to work on another project I have in the works that I am sure you're gonna love. That's all I'm going to say about it for now, but once it's ready, you will be the first to hear about it. Well, if you like this show, then please give us a review on iTunes. It will help others find this podcast. Which brings us to our review of the week. And this one is from Hev. She wrote, "Definitely can't wait to hear more. Very inspiring and informative. Keep it up." Thanks for that, Hev. I really appreciate it. So, if you want a shout out, then give us a review on iTunes. Also, let's continue to share our new discoveries and help bring others to improved health. So share this show with your friends. Hey, they may need to hear about the benefits of fasting, and maybe that will stop them from looking at you funny if you skip the breakfast bagels. Give your best donation if you feel this show has helped you in any way, and you can give back at paypal.me/burnit. Again, that is paypal.me/burnit, and help keep this stream flowing. Well, I hope you join us on the next episode. It just won't be the same if you're not here. It really isn't. Now brace yourself, because it's time to let it burn.